Are you where you planned to be right now for filmmaking with your career?
Am I where I plan to be? I think I always, in my younger years, always saw myself as a writer-director, because that to me was like the total creator, whereas the director is just the translator of someone else's inspiration. So no, I'm not where I saw myself or wished myself or am even wishing myself right now. It's just that writing is so hard, and I have such respect for writers that do that to themselves, and the stakes of that, of you working on something for years that then might or might not get made or might not even turn out well, is kind of more than I can bear with my fragile creative ego. So I'm kind of playing it safe by staying in the directing world, which I probably shouldn't. Thinking about it now, I probably should write again and try more of that. Because I think the fulfillment that you get from seeing your story, not just the way it's told on screen, but your story from the first seat, is something that must be spectacular, that I've only had with my very first movie ever, where I hadn't even written the script, but it was a found footage thing that just came to be. But to know that these characters would not exist without me having had the idea for them was incredible. And I haven't had that since, because these characters that I now bring to life, they are already jumping off the page and just putting them on the screen, so they would exist in some other incarnation, one way or the other. So again, it goes back to, for me, being the writer being the real creative driving force behind any storytelling. And then the format is just what the director is involved with.
I think it's also the turbulence that goes along with writing. I mean, I was watching a documentary that compared Dashiell Hammett and Raymond Chandler and their lives.
Uh-huh.
And their lives had been, turbulent for different reasons, but it was very, maybe the turbulence of the writing contributed to the depth of the stories.
Right.
And with directing, some of that, you're like you said, you're taking other people's, maybe even turbulence, and you're bringing it to life, but you don't have to necessarily experience all that.
Yeah, and you don't take the risk of just wasting a lot of time. If I get sent a script and it's financed, then I know the time that I spend on it right now will translate into, most of the time, will translate into a finished product on screen. Whereas if I sit down at the computer with a blank page and I start, writing scene 1, day so-and-so, the chances of that actually ending up on screen one day are so minuscule, which I think you just have to be either ignorant of to do it or be completely delusional to do it anyway. Great, more power to the people that can do that. I get demotivated, I think, too quickly. If I hear the numbers, some producer said to me that in their company, which produced a lot back then, they have about 8% of what makes it into the final stages of development, that they are really developing with a full intention of making it to the screen. 8% of that makes it to the screen. And only a minuscule percentage of what they start developing makes it into the final stages. So really and I don't want to demotivate anyone, I think any writer has to be so driven anyway that the numbers don't matter and they just write it because they have to write it, because otherwise it'll tear them apart. But if you did look at the numbers, I think you would try to do something other than start writing a script from scratch. And I know that's exactly where I'm going wrong, and I should find the courage again to just do it for the creative outlet, and I just haven't in a couple of years. So that's the answer to, do I find myself where I wanted to be? No. But I also have to earn a living, which would be really hard if I now took a year or two to write a script that then might or might not ever get made. So like real life just kind of kicks in at some point.
Right. If you look at a lot of the writers that continually put their work out there and the turbulence that went through it, maybe it's just being more of a realist,
yeah,
pragmatic, or just.
I wonder if realism and pragmatism is like the big enemy of the creative spark, that you almost have to fight that as much as you can, or look it straight in the eye and say, I know that I might live under a bridge in a year because I can't pay my rent, but it doesn't matter because I'd rather live under a bridge and do creatively what I was born to do than live in a cozy apartment and be miserable because I'm not doing that. I think it's either of those two things. Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if speaking of another like LA-based writer, I know Dashiell Hammett was in the Bay Area, but Charles Bukowski, just yes, brilliant person, but the turbulence that came out of that, and what comes first, the turbulent sort of mind with amazing ideas and stories, or the process of doing something over and over again and being rejected, and then that brings out the turbulence. I don't know,
right.
Like chicken or the egg type thing.
But that's also part of the pragmatism we're talking about. Then I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm not a Bukowski, that I'm not a genius with a turbulent story. That I'm probably if you look at it, a pretty mediocre writer. So factoring that into my chances of success, if I knew I were a genius writer, I would take that chance. But knowing that I have friends that are so much better writers that don't get anywhere and really should, that it would take a lot of ego for me to suddenly say, you know what, I have to say something to the world that trumps all that and is going to surpass all that. Right. I wish I could tell you something more inspirational than I'm too afraid to write. But at the moment, that's kind of the reason why I just direct. So maybe the inspirational thing would be if you still have that energy in you and that fight to make your story heard, amazing, and go for it. I would say.
Well, I think even with Raymond Chandler, wasn't he fired from his oil job? So he was in a spot where he was ready to do it. So again, it was
right.
sort of like, life sort of kind of stripped everything away. But
right.
Yeah, I would imagine that's the case for many people, and that's why you see people with these dual careers, And
that the creative path presents itself when the pragmatic, real life path comes to a difficult spot, kind of a thing. Sure.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.